When evil hides behind good looks, the red flags we often ignore, and sometimes it causes us grief or our death. Charmaine fell for this okey doke when this handsome engineer came to her rescue in the parking lot of a mall. She had bags in her hands and she could not find her car, and he offered to help her. Vernon said he lived in Arizona and he was just in California for a while. Engineer and handsome. What a great catch, Charmaine thought. After they found her car, they exchanged numbers, and he caught her right away. He caught her attention, and she was smitten. As soon as she got home, he caught her. Well, was in 1995, before we had cell phones we could walk around with. He called her at home, and he told her that he could not have phone calls at work. Oh, maybe that's the first red flag, but we'll see. She took up his offer to fly out to see him shortly after they met. Now, when I say shortly, I mean within a week or two. He did all of the things to catch her attention. Opened doors, gave her red roses, and he treated her like a princess when she arrived. When she walked into his apartment, she felt eerie because his space was almost empty. All she saw was a long black leather couch. Now, this is not unusual if you're young, you're just starting out, you don't have a great job, and you just moved in to get your apartment, and you're going to get your things later. But he was a well-established engineer, from what he told her. And he was just in California when they met on a job. So when she went to his home in Arizona, that's what she saw. So, she was still unsure, but she continued to date him. He called her one night, not even 2 months after they met, and said, "We should get married." Another red flag. Now, would you consider his apartment there a red flag? I would, if he was an established engineer and he only had one couch and the walls were bare. So that's two definitely red flags, with one possible red flag. She's like, "We don't even know each other that well. We don't even live in the same state." So she's thinking this is not a good idea. But because of her longing for a marriage and a stable relationship, she's like, "That sounds good." And he told her his transfer to California was coming up, but it would take some time. In the meantime, they can get married in the Arizona courthouse where he lives and plan a big wedding later in California. 2 days later, Charmaine was in Arizona with the wedding gown on but no ring. Red flag. He told her ring was being custom made. A few days later, after they were married, at the Justice of the Peace, she was back in California and was planning the wedding. She was so excited she called the engineer at work, which he told her not to call because he can't receive phone calls. So she called, she asked for her husband, and the person told her, oh, he no longer works here. Ooh, 4 possible red flags. Now that's the red flag. She repeatedly called his home phone, and he finally answered. When she told him what she had learned, he started to yell. And he's like, no, honey, you can't call my job. That's our bread and butter. You might mess it up. We can't have phone calls at work. However, I still work there. I was transferred to another department. Don't you know he made up that lie quickly? Ooh, that's a 5th red flag. She was unsure, but she felt that, oh, it can be possible that he was transferred. So she's making excuses for him, which we often do when we ignore red flags. She still felt uneasy, but she went with it because she had a wedding to plan, and she was so excited. To throw her off her suspicions, he called her a few days later, and he wanted her to move to Arizona so they can both finish out his contract. Now, he just said his transfer will be going through, but it would take a while for her to move to California. Now, since she found out that he doesn't work there, he wanted her to move to Arizona. So she sounded so excited. Oh, that's wonderful. Maybe this is true. She quit her job, moved in with her grandmother, and started to clean out her apartment for her move. He thought it was important to meet her family before she moved to Arizona. And she thought, oh, this man is for real. So he made plans to fly to California. But when she asked for his flight itinerary, he said, oh, I'll call you when I land. She waited and waited. She waited at home by the phone because she had no cell phone for him to call. So when she got worried, she didn't hear from him. She called the police in Arizona, Glendale police, and asked for a welfare check for her husband because he was missing. So the police went to his house for a welfare check. They called her about 1 a.m. in the morning, and they told her they found another woman also looking for him. She told the police she was trying to move in with her husband because they just got married. So he had another wife looking for him that he married in May, just 1 month before he married Charmaine. So Charmaine took a flight to Arizona, back to Arizona, to see what was going on. She met the lady, and the lady, his wife, told Charmaine they got married last month. And he finally called her and said, she finally called Charmaine and said, I knew you were looking for me in Arizona. If you didn't want to be with me, we can just break up. And Charmaine said, this is not a go together session. We are married. So he was trying to make the victim feel guilty. So eventually, the investigators, the police, after Charmaine filed bigamy charges on him, she was the only one that filed bigamy charges on him. The police found out he was married to a third wife. But this woman was his original wife that he married years ago. And then someone else called Charmaine and said she married that man in Vegas. So all in all, he had 4 wives. And as the police did their investigation, they found a list that Vernon wrote. It was called Who to Marry. And it had a list of women's names on it. This may not catch you by surprise, but he was not an engineer. He did not have a job. He got by on living off his wives and other women he was dating. So not only did he have 4 wives, he was dating other women. And he made up this story to each of the wives that he was either an engineer, salesperson, a model, anything that would justify him traveling and being away from the house for a long time. He was sentenced to 4 months and community service for his bigamy act, but due to good behavior, he was let go in 30 days. My. What a slap on the wrist for turning those women's lives upside down. You know, if you ignore red flags, the ending may not be as well as Charmaine's turned out to be. It was just a bunch of lies and a bunch of wasted time. But take those red flags seriously. Until next time.